was May 27th of this year when Andrew Scheer, a member of Parliament from the Regina area, was elected or named the leader of the Progressive Conservative Party of Canada. Still pinching yourself?
Sometimes, yeah. It's been very exciting. A historic role with a lot of challenges, but a lot of unique experiences. I've been able to travel across the country, in some cases bring my family, like today, and just meet with so many different Canadians in so many different walks of life in so many different regions. So I'm excited, I'm aware of the responsibility and the challenge, and I've got a great team behind me that's ready to go when the House comes back in September.
38 years old. As a matter of fact, I guess it was, what, a week after your birthday that
That's right, yeah.
the leadership was proclaimed. When you were doing your, here's what I would like to be at 30, 35, 40 list, was this on the list?
Well, you know, I was interested in politics from a very young age, and I had a great history teacher and Canadian politics teacher in high school that really sparked an interest in public policy and elections and political history in Canada. So I always knew that I would like to find a role to play in that. You know, obviously being in this position today, I couldn't have predicted that the stars would have lined, so to speak, or the opportunities would have been there. So I'm excited, and I think there's a lot of young people getting more active, getting more engaged, and so the fact that I am on the younger end of the spectrum, I think may not have been possible at other eras in Canadian history, but now it's something that provides a unique opportunity.
Not many British Columbians know who Andrew Scheer is. Tell us who he is.
Well, I'm a father of 5 wonderful children, married to my wife, Jill. I was an insurance broker before I was elected. Been active in Conservative politics for many, many years. Was working on Parliament Hill when the merger was underway, when the Unite the Right movement was going on federally, and have a big belief in smaller government, the power of the individual, and I want to bring forward a positive conservative vision that will speak to Canadians in every region on an individual level and talk about how conservative policies are focused on creating prosperity for everyone. And I like to read, play a little bit of golf, and love going to activities with my kids. Love watching them play sports. My son Henry is in flag football this summer, got out to a few of his games. Mom was a nurse, Dad worked for a newspaper. Always had lots of deep conversations around the dinner table growing up. I have 2 sisters and avid sports fan.
You are leader of the party at an interesting time. After a long run of Stephen Harper, the party was defeated in the last election. A lot of people in Canada were, I guess, for want of a better phrase, tired of the stuffy old politics of the Conservative Party. Justin Trudeau and the Liberal Party comes in. What can you do to stem that tide and bring some of those people back into the fold? We saw that here. Ron Cannon lost to a Liberal, and many Conservatives went over to that side. What can you do to pull them back?
Well, I think 2 things happened. One, yes, for sure, you know, our vote total went down, but what we really saw was a lot of people who hadn't voted in previous elections came out and got engaged. That's what I don't think, anticipated. We did a lot of the things right throughout the last campaign, but more importantly, we did a lot of things right as a government. We had policies that people supported, you know, getting back to balanced budgets, tax-free savings accounts, strong principled foreign policy that stood up for what was right around the world. But I think what we failed to do in the last election was offer an aspirational message for the next 4 years, and voters were looking for something a little bit different. So recognizing that now, I think my message to Canadians is, you know, change for change's sake is not always a good thing, and what people might have found resonated with them on a personal level with the Prime Minister, with Justin Trudeau, may not be improving their quality of life. Policies do matter. It's important to have substantive policies. And what I'm hearing from a lot of people, from people who voted Liberal in the last election, was say, hey, wait a minute, you know, I didn't want a carbon tax, or I didn't want these changes to small business taxes that's going to drive away investment, or, you know, any wide variety of topics. So I believe I'll be able to connect with people on a personal level and have those great conservative policies that are focused on improving the quality of life, not playing the politics of envy that the Liberals always do.
Do you see your age then as a way to get to the younger people because they're closer to you?
I believe it can be an advantage. You know, I believe I am younger than the Prime Minister, so I think it's time my generation had an opportunity, you know, to have a say. But no, clearly more and more in politics, whether it's in Canada or around the world, I think people do want to see something in their leaders that reflects a little bit of themselves. And I had a I believe a very typical Canadian upbringing. I have a very middle class upbringing. My family sometimes had to make some tough choices, make some sacrifice to choose, how to make ends meet or to support their kids. We didn't have everything we ever wanted growing up, and some of the challenges went along with that. 2 working parents, no family car. We had to take public transportation everywhere. And I talk a lot about how a lot of parents in Canada measure their success as parents by the measure of whether or not their children have a better quality of life or more opportunities than they did. And I believe I'm living proof of how parents can do that, work hard for the next generation. And the contrast is what the Liberals are doing right now, which is reaching into the future, taking future prosperity from future generations with these massive deficits and new debt, and spending it today. And that goes kind of counter to our Canadian society, the Canadian tradition, whether our families have been here for many generations or arrived in Canada more recently. We don't usually leave our kids with the bill. And I think that's going to resonate with people, my message of being responsible for today so that our kids have a better future than we had.
You've been, over the last couple of months, touring the country. We're here at Sunshine Farm in Kelowna. You're in the Okanagan in British Columbia. What does Andrew Scheer and the Conservative Party bring to British Columbia? What can you do for me?
Yeah, there's always a little bit of politics, on the general level, what we can do for people is create the conditions for success and ensure that at the federal government level that we're focused on creating opportunities, not tearing people down or playing that one group of Canadians off against the other, but truly looking at creating the conditions where everybody has the same opportunity to succeed. On the more specific level, right now I'm in the listening mode. I think the worst thing a politician can do after taking on a new role is to assume that they have all the answers. I was able to come to British Columbia in this area during the leadership race, and I wanted to come back now as leader. We had a round table today of business leaders and people who create jobs and opportunities. I want to hear from them. What are the challenges? I had the opportunity to meet with people here at Sunshine Farms, talking about some of the challenges in the social services sector and how they provide much needed services to vulnerable groups and how they have to navigate through government to help do that. So I'm in the listening phase. We're going to go back to Ottawa, get together with my shadow cabinet and develop some specific policies that I'm confident, I'm excited to bring to British Columbians, because I'm confident it'll resonate with them and we'll be able to be successful.
As leader of the party, that means you're under a microscope, which also means that you get labeled. We have been told or led to believe you are basically your classic small C conservative. You agree with that and you buy that?
I call myself a common ground conservative. There's lots of different kinds of conservatives. There are conservatives who are very interested in democratic reform, foreign affairs, national defense. There are social conservatives. There are fiscal conservatives. There are libertarian conservatives. And the greatest thing about our party is when we focus on those areas of common ground, we're successful. We can win elections by focusing on the things that we agree on. I don't like labels, especially when other groups, whether it's other parties or sometimes those in the media, try to fit everyone into different boxes. Canada's a very diverse country. We have debates on everything in every region, provincial level, municipal level, and I believe that the key for a conservative leader, take the best parts of every groups or types of conservative policies, focus on those. That's how we can win. I think that's what Canadians are like too. Even on my own street, there could be a bunch of opinions on a bunch of different things, but when we focus on those things that bring us all together, you have a better community.
I'll use one last label, right wing. We hear, obviously the Conservative Party of Canada, very much policy-wise in some respects, the Republican Party of Donald Trump in the United States. There are comparisons. People look, and especially what's going on with, the right-wing situation, et cetera, et cetera. Are you afraid that there could be some residual blowback with the Conservative Party, with the right-wing movement, with what's going on down in the States? No,
and I would reject much of that characterization. The Conservative Party of Canada has a vision for Canada. We, don't take any, have no relation with things that are going on in other parts of the world. I want to build my policy and my team on compassion, on showing how it's conservative policies that are actually compassionate for people, actually improve the quality of lives for people. we're an inclusive, open party. We're the party of many firsts when it comes to being open and tolerant and inclusive. The first Pakistani senator, the first Muslim member of parliament, the first Sikh to wear a turban in the House of Commons in cabinet. We're all from the Conservative side. So that's the vision I'm going to be portraying. There's a lot of, parties around the world that can get compared on the left side of the spectrum as well. And sometimes, that's interesting for analysts to ponder that and look at the relations there. But I think by sticking to the types of things I think Canadians want to hear their leaders talking about, we're going to bring that positive message to voters here in Canada.
Andrew Scheer, where are you off to next?
We're off to an event tonight in the area, and then we're off to Kamloops, and then into Vancouver, back home to Regina for a few days, and then getting ready for the big move to Ottawa. Family's moving to Ottawa with me, and so a lot of challenges there.
Congratulations on the on winning the leadership race. Good luck in the future, and welcome to the Okanagan.
Thanks very much. Pleasure to be here.
I'm Wayne Moore for Castanet News.
Kelowna, Penticton, and Vernon. Pick the edition you want to read in the top left corner of the yellow masthead.